Welcome to the new Bhagavad Gita 101 series. How does this dialogue from thousands of years ago apply in 2022? Is it relevant? Let's start by learning about its purpose and how we can get ready to evolve.
How many of you have studied? Studied means read and thought about every shloka of Bhagavad Gita by show of hands. Okay, I see 1 plus 2/4 hands, so 1.5 is where we're at right now. When we think of Gita, we think of visualizations like Arjuna being in a chariot. We think of Gita chanting competitions. Our course is focused on applying that photograph in the sense that I'm Arjuna. Not about chanting only, but about how each word relates to me. Our applied Gita course. This would be dharana. Do you all know what dharana means? Dharana means to direct with a lot of effort. Key point being, a lot of effort. So now I'll share with you an overview of Bhagavad Gita, and then we'll study a shloka today. Bhagavad Gita, if we open up the word Bhagavad, it's Bhagavat with a T. That means all virtues in all ways. All virtues in all, W-A-Y-S. I'm not saying always in a time sense only. I mean all ways. Depth, breadth, etc., etc. So from this all virtues in all ways has come a song. That's the word Gita. What Bhagavad Gita addresses, shares, teaches is resolving our identity crisis. And if you don't think you have an identity crisis, then I'm here to tell you that you do have an identity crisis. Anyone who thinks that their hair or their thoughts or their ego is having an identity crisis. And when Prince Arjuna has his identity crisis, Bhagavan Krishna doesn't make him more capable. Use this weapon. Breathe like this. There's no extroversion there. He teaches him who he is. Now, why Bhagavad Gita? This is a relatively new scripture or map. Traditionally, people never experienced an identity crisis. They never did. Why? Because traditionally, our culture has been a proactive one, where from a young age, when you become aware of yourself, you live in the Gurukula. And you live with someone who does not have an identity crisis, and they teach the Upanishad. Upanishad means sit near and below someone who has clarity, and they will share that same clarity. They'll transmit that clarity. The ashram, the Upanishad, is a controlled environment. It is sattvic. We got busy. The idea of a younger person going to the Gurukula, now it's to Kuman and Mathnasium and to robotics classes, correct? And the idea of having role models who have clarity, now our role models are webcasts and podcasts and the New York Times. Yes? So there's a total lack of clarity. Bhagavad Gita is, in reference to the Upanishad, our contemporary times, is reactive. That the identity crisis has already been experienced, so now what do? It is a message to resolve that identity crisis. So obviously I know who I'm not, so tell me who I am. The message of the Upanishad, the message of Bhagavad Gita is the same, and that is Tat Tvam Asi. You are the happiness that you're breathing for, that you're thinking about. You are happiness. Yesterday, a thoughtful young girl from our happy hour class had asked me, how do you create happiness? And it was such a lovely question because I felt maybe she's going through a challenge in her life where she's growing up and that happiness as if goes away. So she asked, how do you create happiness? And I shared with her that you can't create happiness because if you create it, it will also be uncreated. All you can do is rediscover happiness as yourself. You are always you. Just like sugar is always sweet and the sun is always hot, sort of, always, I'm putting conditionally there. You are happiness. Tattvamasi. That's a high-level look at Bhagavad Gita. So now let's make this more micro. We're together for 9 months. A pregnancy is 10 months. We're together for 9 months. But it's like we're giving birth to ourselves. Each month, we are going to take applied Gita, that mentality, and pick a specific verb where we need resolution, where that crisis is holding us back. So some examples of this is applied Gita in relating. There'll be a whole month on all sorts of relationships with our parents, with our kids, with our friends. There'll be a whole month where we'll focus on applied Gita in deciding. How do I become more of a decisive person? What factors do you think about when making a decision? So we're going to go on a journey together from complete ignorance, and I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about myself, to complete enlightenment. And if you have studied a wide range of our scriptures of Sanatana Dharma, they all follow the same format, the same flow. Bhagavad Gita is like that, Vivekji is like that, Atma Bodha is like that. Each month, we're going to focus on 4 verses or 4 shlokas. So in total, we will study 36 shlokas from Bhagavad Gita out of 700. So that's 5% of Bhagavad Gita that we're going to study. And if we can do this sincerely, that's a lot. Is it all of Bhagavad Gita? No. Please don't go out and say, I've studied all of Bhagavad Gita. You have not. I'm telling you that in the first 15 minutes of our 9 months together. But most definitely, this will be a fine orientation of what Bhagavad Gita is and how to come out of that crisis. All right. We begin with all of September focusing on applied Gita in evolving. The verb that we're going to focus on this month is evolving. And note that I'm not going to go chapter 2, then 3, then 4. It really is taking all 18 chapters and what shloka is best in this journey. So right now I'm on chapter 2, verse 7. And I'd asked all of you to have Holy Gita with you. Today you may not. Some of you would. Please repeat after me. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhavaha. Karpanya dosho pahata svabhavaha. Prichami tvam dharma samudha chetaha. Prichami tvam dharma samudha chetaha. Yat shreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme. Yat shreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. Shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam. A famous shloka of Bhagavad Gita where after this shloka, Prince Arjuna becomes one who's in Mauna, and Bhagavan Krishna starts smiling. So let's take up each line. Swabhavaha means feeling. Upahata means overwhelmed, overpowered, disoriented. Dosha here means weakness of karpanya. Karpanya is pity or sympathy. And later on in Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavan Krishna actually defines this word karpanya. Really, Prince Arjuna is not experiencing compassion, he's experiencing kripanaha. Do you all know what kripanaha means? You know it in Hindi, it means kanjus. Now everyone got it. Miserly. And Bhagavan Krishna tells Prince Arjuna, you're being miserly because you're living in a way that isn't suited to your potential. You know when you see someone whose potential is so much more and they're being complacent, they're being miserly to themselves. Now how this line relates to us, applied Gita. We have an expertise in justifying our vices. Yes? Here, Prince Arjuna is justifying. He does not want to face the challenge because he's so compassionate. It's like you have a challenge where you have to compete against someone else, but you're feeling lazy. But what do you actually say? You win. We're all winners. It doesn't matter when it's just laziness and procrastination. So this is being highlighted that we justify our vices. And as long as you justify your vice, one can never let go of that vice. Because I'm finding a place for that vice in my personality. Prince Arjuna knows this, which is why he says, Prichami tvam dharma sammuda chetaha. I'm asking you. Who's in front of him? Who's closest to him? Bhagavan Krishna. Prince Arjuna has never seen Bhagavan Krishna cry unnecessarily. He's never seen Bhagavan Krishna criticize or complain. And all Prince Arjuna is feeling right now is that crying, that criticizing, complaining. So he's asking him, how come you're not like me? And he identifies chetaha, my mind, my thoughts, sammudha. And this is such a powerful word. Remember we studied Bhaja Govindam. Chant that last line for me. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhaja Mudamate. Hey, moody people, focus on Govinda. Here, Prince Arjuna is calling himself Sammudha. That's a heavy statement. You know, it's like in Bhaja Govindam, we're being self-deprecating. Yeah, we're foolish, but we actually don't feel like we're foolish. It's just a humble brag. But here, Prince Arjuna full out says, I'm Sammudha. Of all the foolish people, I'm the most foolish. And in what way? Dharma. In the most simple, obvious, to be known way, I'm just confused and deluded. So bringing this to us some. Why engage in dharma? Have you ever thought about that? We love to throw the word around. We should follow dharma. Why? Why should you follow dharma? And you'll only follow dharma. The why will only be answered if we know what dharma is, correct? How can there be a why if there's not a what? When I was in Portland, on Monday I spoke at Intel, and I asked everyone, what is stress? And all people gave me were symptoms of stress. They never answered what is stress. they were answering, how is stress? This is what stress does to oneself, but they weren't answering, what is stress? So in this line, for all of us to think deeply, why follow Dharma? In the third line, Yat Shreyaha Syat Nishchitam Bruhi Tanme. Tell me decisively, tell me unambiguously what is best for me. And this is such a cool question because sometimes when you read scriptures and questions are asked, they're generalized. What is the greatest good for all people? Here, Prince Arjuna doesn't say that. This is a very specific, detailed relationship. Tell me what's best for me. He uses this word Shreya. Whenever you think of Shreya, you should think long term. And then Preya would be short term. I had a very interesting conversation with someone who is describing the difference typically between Western cultures and Eastern cultures. In Western cultures, there's an emphasis on I. In Eastern cultures, there's an emphasis on we. Now, as long as the focus is on I, that will be Preya, short term. And as long as there's an emphasis on we, it will be Shreya, or long term. And where the greatest impact of this difference is in the environment. Which countries are causing the most destruction to the environment? And don't say India. India has so much more of a population than, let's say, America or Mexico, but creates hardly the carbon footprint or the environmental damage that North America does. Because they're thinking more along the lines of, what's long term? When Prince Arjuna asks this question to Bhagavan Krishna, he's ready to change his life. This is the game-changing statement that Prince Arjuna makes, that I've touched everything, I've tasted everything, my life is blah, it's ordinary. Now you tell me what's best for me, because I've touched all of that, I know all of that, but you know something I don't know. You're experiencing that which I want. This is an openness of Prince Arjuna that should be of us, that I'm going to change my life right now. And how? In the last line, Shishyaha te aham. I am your disciple. And here disciple simply means, I want what you have. I want to be like you. Shadi. What's the Hindi word for shadi? Marriage, correct? Shadi here means teach. Shadi mam tuam prapannam. Teach me because I'm at your feet. Teach me because I've fallen and you're standing and I'm seeking solace in you. The word shishya in English is disciple. And whenever you hear the word disciple, you have to associate this with the word discipline. With discipline. There's so much of talk in the media right now about people seeking asylum. For someone coming in from Central America to seek asylum in America is extremely complex. But if someone is seeking asylum and they're granted that asylum, they really just have to do whatever the government orders. Now you have to move here, now you have to sign here, now you have to be on probation here, correct? And if they break any of those conditions, they're not given asylum. When we think and use such terminology of, I surrender, Om Namah Parvati Pate Har Har Mahadev, what does surrender feel like? What does seeking refuge feel like? Choiceless cheer. Choiceless cheer. That what you're going to engage in, you have no choice in it. In the sense that the person who's wiser, the person who's happier, is going to guide you. You have no choice in that. You have to be disciplined to follow, and you have to be cheerful about it. There's a lot we do that we're choiceless in our engagement, but we are very complaining about it, very miserable about it. Choiceless cheer. This is the first shloka in our journey, applied Gita in evolving, for us to think about our lives carefully. Honestly, that's a better word, honestly. Prince Arjuna is all of us combined in his capability, but he has that honesty to know that he's not independently joyous. With honesty, the journey can begin. Without honesty, this journey is going laterally or backwards. And I did share with all of you, until Prince Arjuna says, I'm your disciple, Bhagavan Krishna doesn't teach. Bhagavan Krishna's teachings begin in shloka 11. There's a few shlokas after this that are more connecting the dots, and then the teachings begin. Let's chant this shloka together, now that we know some of the word meaning and how it relates to us. Karpanya dosho pahata swabhavaha prichami tvam dharma samudha chetaha yachreyasya nishchitam bruhi tanme shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.